All right. So some of the core programming logic for any good program or any real program that you have, and really the brains behind most programs, really stems from a few different functions. The first is an if-then statement, then is a for loop, and then is a while-do loop. So this is basically the brains of any good program. So the if-then statement basically says if some condition is true, then do something else. And if it's not true, then check another statement, see if that's true, and then do something else. And if none of those statements are true, then do some other thing. So you can basically say, if a user is 21 years old, then let them drink. Else, if they're not 21 years old, say they can't drink. So pretty simple, but it's basically, if something's true, then run a line of code. And if it's not true, then do something else. Next is the for loops. So for loops basically just keep on running a block of code until you finish through the for loop. So you can reiterate through something 100 times or 5 times or however many you want. It allows you to go through a predefined number of iterations through a block of code. So like, let's say you're going through and trying to add a bunch of numbers together, 1 through 100, instead of manually typing this out, 1 through 100, you can use a for loop to run the same block of code 100 times. So this is a really helpful, easy way to iterate through code. And then finally, the while something is true, do statement, or like a while do statement. This is helpful because there are certain instances where you don't know how many iterations are going to go through. For example, if you want to play a game and you want the user to be able to keep on playing that game until they're tired of playing it, you don't know whether or not the user is going to play it once or 10 times or 1,000 times, or if it's Call of Duty, maybe like 15,000 times. You basically just have a statement that allows you to continue doing something until that statement is not true. So you can keep on letting the user play the game until they don't want to play it anymore. So this is also really helpful. So we're just going to go into a little bit more on each of these 3 statements. So the first, again, is an if-then statement. So again, in this example, what we're going to do is we're going to say, if today minus the user's birthday is greater than 21 years, then you can say the user can drink. Else, if the user's birthday is less than 0, that means they didn't give us a good ID, which means you didn't give us a good ID. So I'll tell the user that. And then else, if neither of those 2 things are true, it means that the user is less than 21 years old and greater than 0 years old, which means that they're not old enough to drink, at least in America. So that's the if, then, else statement, and the little else if in between. And it's important to know that you can have the if statement and then as many else ifs as you want. So you could say, if the user is over 21, say you can drink. And then you can do else if the user is over 18, say you can watch an R-rated movie. Else if the user is over 13 years old, you can watch a PG-13 movie. Else you can't drink, you can't watch an R-rated movie, and you can't watch a PG-13 movie. So again, this is a really useful thing to learn. So make sure you rewatch this video if you didn't get it the first time, and make sure you understand this because it's really helpful. The next thing are just the loops to go into a little bit more detail. And the for loop and the while do are both loops because they will iterate through a series of code until you're done iterating. The for loop has a predefined number of iterations. In this example, we're going to go and add 1 through 100. So you know it's going to start and stop at a certain point. It's going to start at adding 1, and it's going to end at adding 100. And the while loop is useful for things that where you don't know how long it's going to end. So for this for loop, what we're going to do in this program is we're going to start off by having a sum equal to 0. Busy person. We're going to have the sum start off equal to 0, and then we're going to have a for loop that starts with 1 and then goes all the way through 100. And then if you remember the x plus plus adds 1 to x. So it's going to start off at 1, and then the next little block, or the next little x less than 100 says, as long as x is less than 100, continue to run the program. And then the next little bit, x++, says after you run each block of code, you're going to do x++. Now you can also make this x+2 or x+5 or whatever you want it to be. But in this example, we're just going to do x++. So what this for loop is going to do is it's going to start off with x equal to 1, and then it's going to run the block of code. So sum equals sum plus x. So that's going to set sum equal to sum plus x. And before up there, we said sum is equal to 0. So it's going to be sum is equal to 0 plus 1. So that means the new sum is going to be equal to 1. And then what it's going to do is going to do x++, and then run the same line of code again. So now we're going to have sum is equal to 1 plus 2. So now the new sum is going to be equal to 3. And then we're going to do x++ again. All right, so the new sum is equal to 3, and now x is equal to 3. So sum is going to be equal to 3 plus 3. So that's now going to be equal to 6. We're going to do it again, and x is 4. So 6 plus 4 equals 10. And we're just going to keep on doing that, and eventually we're going to get to 100. X equals to 100, and then we're going to go out. We're going to break the for loop, and then we're going to tell the user what the total sum is. And we're just going to say alert sum, and that's going to get to a total number of 5,050. Again, the while loop just keeps on running until something's no longer true. So in this example, we're going to say while the variable still playing equals true, run the function play game. And I won't go into details here about what that might look like, but basically this function, this while loop, will keep on playing the game, allowing the user to play the game until the user is no longer playing the game, at which point it'll end the code.